Public opinion is rarely static, but the shift in sentiment towards Brexit has been particularly stark. In the immediate aftermath of the referendum, opinion polls showed a nation divided, with a slight majority in favour of leaving. However, the intervening years have witnessed a steady erosion of support for Brexit. Recent polls consistently indicate that a majority of Britons now believe that leaving the EU was a mistake. This shift can be attributed to several factors. The tangible impacts of Brexit on everyday life have become increasingly apparent. The end of free movement has led to labour shortages and impacted family ties. Increased paperwork and customs checks have contradicted the Leave campaign's promises. Political chaos and internal divisions have further tarnished Brexit's image. Protracted negotiations highlighted the complexities of disentangling from the EU. The political instability has created weariness, making rejoining the EU seem appealing to some. The EU's united response to crises has led some to question the wisdom of going it alone. For many, the EU now represents stability and solidarity in uncertain times. Brexit has not only had profound economic consequences for the UK, but has also triggered significant political upheaval. The decision to leave the EU has exposed and exacerbated deep divisions within British society, leading to political instability, polarisation, and a loss of trust in institutions. The referendum campaign itself was highly divisive, with both sides resorting to emotive arguments and questionable claims. The slim margin of victory for Leave left the country deeply split, with little common ground between the two sides. This polarisation has only intensified in the years since the vote, as the complexities and challenges of Brexit have become apparent. The Conservative Party, which has been in power for much of the post-Brexit period, has been particularly affected by the fallout. The party has long been divided on Europe, and the decision to pursue a hard Brexit further exacerbated these internal tensions. This has led to a series of leadership challenges, resignations, and policy U-turns, creating an image of chaos and dysfunction at the heart of government. The Labour Party, while officially respecting the outcome of the referendum, has struggled to articulate a clear position on Brexit. The party's traditional working-class base is split on the issue, with many feeling that their concerns about immigration and globalisation were ignored by the political establishment. This has left Labour walking a tightrope, trying to appeal to both Remainers and Leavers without alienating either group. The political instability and polarisation have had a corrosive effect on British democracy. Trust in politicians and institutions has plummeted, and public discourse has become increasingly toxic. The Brexit debate has also fueled the rise of populism and nationalism, with some seeking to exploit the divisions for their own political gain. The Labour Party finds itself in a delicate position as Brexit regret grows in the UK. While many within the party opposed leaving the EU, they are also acutely aware of the need to respect the outcome of the referendum. This has resulted in a cautious approach, with Labour attempting to straddle the divide between Remainers and Leavers. On the one hand, Labour recognises the economic and social damage caused by Brexit. The party has been critical of the Conservative government's handling of the UK's exit from the EU, arguing that it has prioritised ideology over pragmatism. Labour has pledged to make Brexit work, focusing on repairing the UK's relationship with the EU and mitigating the negative impacts on businesses and communities. However, Labour is also wary of alienating voters who supported Leave. Many of these voters are traditional Labour supporters who felt left behind by globalisation and ignored by the political establishment. Labour recognises that simply advocating for a return to the EU would be electoral suicide, potentially driving these voters into the arms of other parties. This has left Labour walking a tightrope, attempting to appeal to both sides of the Brexit divide without alienating either. The party has ruled out rejoining the EU or even the single market, recognising that this would be deeply unpopular with a significant portion of the electorate. Instead, Labour has focused on securing closer cooperation with the EU in areas such as trade, security and research. This balancing act is fraught with risk. Labour's lack of clarity on Brexit risks alienating both Remainers who feel the party is not doing enough to oppose Brexit and Leavers who suspect that Labour secretly wants to reverse the referendum result. Section 8. Rejoining the bloc, a distant prospect. As Brexit regret grows in the UK, the question of whether the country might one day rejoin the EU is gaining traction. While such a move remains a distant prospect for now, it is no longer unthinkable. The political, economic and social costs of Brexit have led some to believe that rejoining the bloc is the only way to restore the UK's fortunes. However, the path back to EU membership is fraught with obstacles. The political will for such a move is currently lacking. While public opinion polls suggest growing support for rejoining, this sentiment is far from overwhelming. The two main political parties, Labour and the Conservatives, are both wary of reopening the divisive Brexit debate. Even if there were sufficient political will, the process of rejoining the EU would be complex and time-consuming. The UK would have to reapply for membership and negotiate the terms of its re-entry, a process that could take years. The UK would also have to meet the EU's accession criteria, including adopting the euro as its currency, something that would be deeply unpopular with many voters. Moreover, the EU itself may be hesitant to welcome the UK back into the fold. The bloc has moved on since the UK's departure and is focused on deepening integration among its remaining members. The UK's history of Euroscepticism and its often fractious relationship with the EU would make some member states wary of readmitting the UK. While rejoining the EU remains a distant prospect, the possibility cannot be entirely ruled out. The UK's decision to leave the EU was a momentous one, with far-reaching consequences for both the country and its relationship with its European neighbours. The path forward is uncertain, but the stakes are high. The decisions made in the coming years will shape the UK's place in the world and its relationship with the EU for generations to come. I hope you find this video interesting and informative. Please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel.